Welcome learners to this session on branding. Today we will be talking about branding as a process and the associated activities. Now what is branding as a process? In the last session we talked about how did brand as an activity really come about, and not very glorious traditions, but this is how it first came in, and then people have been using it as a way of distinguishing their own products and services. So branding is actually a business process of managing your trademark portfolio so as to maximize the value of the experiences that you want to be associated with your own brand. And you do this for the benefit of the key stakeholders, and these key stakeholders are consumers, employees, your stockholders, people who have invested in you as a company, your intermediaries and your suppliers, and the general community. So all of these are various stakeholders. How do you seek to maximize the value that you are offering to these people and enable an identification of the value that you are offering is what the act of branding is all about. And therefore, we say branding is actually all about creating a singular distinction and a strategic awareness of your own offering to your own target market, so that the offering is completely differentiated in the eyes of your own consumers. Now let us do a small fun exercise. I want all of you to, when you think of these brands and you've been using these brands one way or the other, you've seen others using them or you've seen your family members using them, what is the association that comes to your mind? What are the first three words that come to your mind when you think of Lifebuoy, Vicco Vajradanti, Lux as a product, Gillette, Rolex, Titan, Mahindra Marazzo, the new car that they introduced to the market some 2 years back, and AIMS as an institution? So what are your general thoughts? Do you remember Lifebuoy as Lifebuoy hai jahan tandurusti hai wahan, Vicco Vajradanti as something that is Ayurvedic and has got certain herbal benefits, Lux, the soap of film stars? I do not really know how many film stars really use Lux, but that is the kind of association that has been built up. Similarly, for all the brands that I am talking about, you would be having a certain association in your mind. That association came out of the act of branding and the carefully cultivated brand imagery, brand communication that went in. Now, so when people create a brand name for new products and they select a brand name, what goes on? Everyone who's been in the business of creating products and services knows that selecting a brand name is one of the most critical decisions in the life cycle of a product. So when you're, because that is the identity card that you're giving to your own product offering with which it will enter the market. And therefore, at this level, since we are doing an introductory analysis on branding as a business process, what are the basic criteria of selection of a brand name? A brand name should be such that should help position the brand in the mind of the customers. Therefore, it should be able to create a certain niche, a certain place in the mind of the consumer by either talking about or having some kind of a idea about what the product is all about and so on. Or let's say talking about Nescafe, cafe related to coffee, Nestle is the name of the company. So you've tried to combine these two and therefore creating a certain association with a very well known house of manufacturing and then adding the word coffee to that. Tide is again, we are talking about a detergent here. So a tide of water which is capable of cleansing, that kind of a situation that is started. Maruti as a product. What is Maruti? Maruti is one of the names of Lord Hanuman. So when that car came out, a small powerful package can talk to the wind. So that kind of imagery that is sought to be created. So a brand name should have some kind of a imagery creation in the mind of the customer. It should not be too generic, but should also not be very, very limiting. That if you just limit it to one particular product offering, then you may not have possibilities of extending that brand to other offerings in your own product line. I'll give the example of Everyday, which is the name of the milk powder that was given, but it's quite generic in the sense that it can be added to other daily use dairy items like ghee and so on. It should be short, it should be easily pronounceable, and it should be short. Examples are Sony, Kodak, Xerox, very easily pronounceable so that it aids recall. It should not having negative connotations in any other language. So, when you use because today we believe that most brands would have an international market. So, any product which may have a byline which has got a negative connotation. Interesting story of Pepsi, the drink for a young generation, when it translated in Mandarin, had a very different meaning. Part of it was negative. The name should be easily pronounceable, very easy. It should not be a tongue twister and should be easy to pronounce. Examples, Tata. The name should be available in the sense that when you get your name registered, it should not have been patented by somebody else, so it should be available. And when you want to register it in a domain, in a particular domain, it should be possible to get it registered and name should be available. There are some other consideration. A brand name should be completely distinctive, sets it apart from anybody. It should be able to give you a sort of an imagery possibility where you can create a complete distinctiveness. Apple, where it shows a partially bitten apple, is a very recognizable name and therefore very, very distinctive. Dabur came out of the name of Dr. Burman, but over a period of time is a very distinctive, very clear name. Name should be brief and it should have a certain degree of evocativeness. It should be able to evoke some brand quality, and the core value that you are creating in the brand, it should be able to create an association. For example, Toys R Us, which is a global manufacturer of toys, you are saying we are what toys are all about. Genteel, again a product for your gentle clothes. Easy, easy watch for your woolens, and Pizza Hut, very clearly defining what the core value of this product is all about. We have already talked about pronounceability. The name should be likeable. People should like, it should not again have any negative connotations. The name should be extendable to similar offerings in your product line, and you should be able to create intellectual protection for that name. Again, there are people who believe, there are manufacturers who believe that your product should be able to show how or it should be a descriptive name, that it describes what the product is all about. Head and Shoulders. So, anti-dandruff product which is makes your head and shoulders look good. Close Up, which enables close proximity because it's gives you freshness of breath and so on. Sometimes people use existing brand names and similar names are added. I talked to you about Colgate and Colgate Ved Shakti, but when you create new categories, should you create new names? These are again strategic decisions that are taken looking at competitive realities and company policy. When you create brand, there are some assets that become capable of legal registration and protection. These are called proprietary brand assets. All the elements of a brand which are capable of legal protection, they become your intellectual property right and enable you to have advantage of a patent. You all must have heard the story of how the Coca-Cola basic formula is a secret formula, has remained secret for so many years that the product has been around and is a closely guarded patentable secret. So, formulations could be patented, codes in case of software can be patented, logos can be patented, actual brand names in a domain specific category can be patented and become your proprietary asset. The way you write your distinctive way in which you write your lettering and a certain color scheme are all capable of getting patented and become your intellectual property right. Now, what happens when you invest in a brand and you build a brand? There are certain implications of brand building. A brand, once it is built up and is recognizable in the market, it allows a roadmap for your systematic marketing effort to be invested in these categories. Again, if a brand has been established in the market, it also enables you to periodically measure how is each offering in your stable functioning, what is the brand performance, can I take corrective steps, are there certain aspects of the brand which are not finding favor with the customer, or there is a certain negative feedback about a particular aspect of the brand. So you can come back, because then you recognize that this is the offer, this is the image I associated with it, and was it strong enough to work on all aspects, or are there certain chinks. So if you come back and rectify those chinks. When you have a brand presence in a given market, let's say a local market, you can use your branding to extend it to regional markets or to global markets. So this becomes, because it's an easily recognizable brand value and brand presence, can be used to extend your presence in other markets. Again, you can use it to communicate, acquire new customers, enable cross buying of products in your own category. I had talked about it in the last sessions, but when you have an established brand, you can actually use your brand recognition and brand value identification to charge price premiums. Institutions which, once they become very famous, they are able to charge a premium on their fees because people are rushing to actually join that institution. Once you have a recognizable brand, your costs in introducing new products, marketing communication goes down, because a part of brand awareness, brand recognition is already there in the market. So these are some of the values that come in because of brand building. Now there are different kind of approaches people use in their branding. One is the approach called branded house, where a single brand is the capstone or the umbrella brand, and all the products that come use that same name. Therefore, there is a great advantage of complete recognition, complete awareness, brand recall, and the new products, the new offerings that come in are just one more addition to the whole house of brand. This approach is called the branded house approach. So FedEx, the courier company, Tata, Google as an organization, Apple as a company, Facebook, all carry the same name, Godrej, the Indian company. As opposed to that, there is another approach called the house of brands. Companies like Unilever, Procter & Gamble, General Motors, when they come with a new offering, they put a different brand. They believe that it gives them the capacity to cultivate each new brand image in a different way, and may not and therefore completely new brand story for a new offering, and therefore you can completely renew your relationship with the customer by offering newer variants of the products that you have been offering, or start a new product category by itself and put a new brand there. There are others who used a hybrid approach. The benefits of both house, branded house as well as house of brands, where you try to have a capstone name but also create a sub brand or sort of another name that goes along the umbrella name to distinguish it as a separate offering. Let me quickly take you through the, this is what we talked about already. So FedEx, the same FedEx name, but there are different kind of products, Apple, recognizable name and so on. House of brands, on the other hand, examples of both Unilever and Procter & Gamble are given here. You will see that all their products are seen as having different brand names within the same house. Marriott is the one which uses, it's a hospitality company, hotels, resorts, suites and so on. So it's the umbrella company is called Marriott. But you see that there are different kinds of, you will have from the house of Marriott, but Marriott Residence, JW Marriott, Executive Stay Marriott, Westin Marriott. So it's using the benefit of both the family name, branded house with the house of brands. There is another term that I would like you to become familiar with, brand identity and brand image. Now, brand identity is the set of benefits that a manufacturer or the creator of the brand seeks to associate the brand with. So, that association is being built by the creator of the brand. Brand image, on the other hand, is what the consumer carries off from that image. So, if you are saying you are the best brand and the consumer compares it to his other brand experiences and carries an image that it is one of the best brands. So, the image and the brand identity may not exactly be the same. Brand image is the takeaway that the customer has, is the perception that the consumer holds about the brand, while the brand identity is something that you as the manufacturer have sought to create in the brand. What is the benefit of investing in brand identity? When you try to create a unique position or a unique identity for your brand, you as a manufacturer are trying to very clearly identify what is the point of distinction. Is it distinguished on the basis of its effectiveness? Let us say a washing powder is a stain remover or a softener or whitener. So, what is the point of distinction and how do I differentiate it from my other competitors? So, while there are other whiteners, they also fade the color while I maintain the color and brighten up the whiteness of the product. So, each different manufacturer tries to identify a very clear point of distinction. When you create a brand identity, this clarity should be very focused. What is the point of distinction and what is the point of differentiation? Please remember, when you are in a competitive market, there are certain bases on which you should be similar to your competitors. That means all washing powders should clean, all shampoos should give clean, soft hair. So, there is a certain point of parity that you have with all your competitors. You also have point of distinction. So, you need to decide what are the points on which I will not be less from any one of my competitors, but what is the point on which I will be completely different and I will have an edge over them. The investment in brand identity enables manufacturers to overcome the competitive clutter and be identifiable by the customer, so that he can create what is called a personal engagement with his own target set of customers and stand apart from the competitor. When you consistently invest in your brand identity, you are also able to develop lasting value in the marketplace, which is called brand equity. I have already said that brand equity is the monetary value of a power of a brand at the retail level. When you consistently have investments in brand identity and you build up a relationship with your customers, you enable customers to engage with the brand on the basis of the association that are there in the brand. Over a period of time, this translates into brand loyalty, which is a consumption pattern that is devoutly to be wished for by most manufacturers. Again, brand identity is a protectable asset that can be sustained and can be used to extend your brand image, used to extend your offerings, or can be used in brand extensions in other categories, to other markets, and so on. I would like to end this session here and hope that you are able to recall what we did in the first in the introductory session on brand and relate it to the activity of branding. Thank you very much for your attention.